Welcome to Geeky Girls Knit. I'm Cece, also known as Java Pearl.
I'm Damaris, also known as Damaris-a-bit-weird, and a certifiable dork.
That's new. Today is Wednesday, February the 13th, and this is episode 25.
Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Oops, I forgot to get a boyfriend.
You are too young for a boyfriend. We would like to welcome all of our returning viewers and a big hello to any new viewers we have this week. We have lots to talk about, so let's get started. And now it's time to talk about what's on our needles. Damaris, what's on your needles?
I still have that preemie hat from last week, but I've actually been working on it somewhat.
So show us what you've done. What row are you on?
I don't know. I'm just in the middle.
Okay. What yarn are you using?
SMC Bravo Rainbow Color in the Circus colorway.
And what size needles?
2.5, 3 millimeters.
And where'd you get the pattern from?
She did it.
It's a free pattern on Ravelry, so if you want to do some preemie hats, check it out. Oops, let go. I was going to bring this up here closer.
She took my knitting from me.
So you're probably on row, probably about 22 or so. I'm guesstimating.
Of the middle?
No, of the whole hat.
Oh.
Out of what is it, 40, I think?
I don't know.
I think it's 40 rows. I always have to look at the pattern when I knit it, even though I made it. I still have on my needles this Junction shawl for my mom, my mom-in-law, my mother-in-law, Jimmy. I finished section 3 this week. So, okay. This is section 1, this whole wing thing. These chains in the middle are section 2. And this wing over here is section 3. So I have 2 more sections to go. This is the Junction pattern by Lethal. Also, Lee Meredith is her name, but she goes by Lethal. And this is done in Knit Picks Comfy Fingering Weight in Bison. That's the brown, and the pink is Peony. And it's on US 5s, 3.75 millimeters. I got section 3 done pretty soon after the podcast last week, but then I've been working on this other project I'm about to pull out, so I didn't start section 4 of it. But my goal is to have section 4 done before next week's podcast. Alright. I'm trying to get the other project here. It has become too big for a project bag. So, this is a baby blanket that I am working on. I have now done all 12 colors and have up here at the top where I'm knitting right now have started the first 3 colors again. So this is all being knitted. You pick up stitches. Why are you laughing at me?
You're covering up my face. You're just like, okay.
Peekaboo. You pick up stitches as you go along. So when I started, it was just 1 block, and then added to it, and then you pick up stitches along the different sides as you go. Each color will be repeated 3 times before the project is done. And it's got lots of fun colors in it, and it'll work for a boy or a girl. I think that the colors show up the best on these really bright colors. I don't have a name for this yet. You can see it's kind of diagonally patterned. The stitch pattern is called something with a P.
Parallelogram?
No. like, hold on. I have it saved over here. Why am I trying to rack my brain for it? Pavilion. So, because I got the stitch pattern out of a Stitch dictionary. So the stitch pattern is called Pavilion, but that's not what I want to name the blanket. So, if you have ideas for a baby blanket name with these kind of parallelogram, pavilion zigzag lines, feel free to share with me. This is all in leftover yarn. If you really want to know all the yarns, you can go to the project page. We'll link it in the show notes. And it's on US 5's 3.75 millimeters. And I've been working madly away on it, trying to get it done, because we have friends that are having babies. So I need baby presents. So I plan to publish the pattern when I finish it. So if you're interested in making one of them, you can. That's all that's on our needles. And just a heads up, there's nothing in finished objects. So, we're going to jump ahead to the next section. It's time for my favorite part of the show, yummies. Damaris is throwing yarn. That is not one of the yummies this week. Yummies are our like current favorite things, or things that make us happy, or new things this week. Yummy. So, Damaris, tell us your yummies.
Okay,
they're literal yummies.
Okay, I got chocolates.
Yummy. Can you see me rubbing my belly?
I got chocolates.
Who did you get chocolates from?
Enid.
Our good friend, faithful viewer of the podcast. So tell us why Enid sent you chocolates.
Because I finished my socks before the first day of February.
Yes. And what did she send you?
Cadbury cream eggs. UK kind.
We were all very excited when the package came.
And I broke the box on accident.
They smell good. Yummy. So
thank you.
Yes, thank you, Enid. You made us happy to read the package, and we were like, oh, look, it's from the UK. And she hasn't even eaten any yet. She saved them.
She told me not to eat any of them.
I did. I said, save them and show them on the podcast, and then you can eat them. What else is yummy in your life?
Well, something that's not on our list. I found this necklace while going through old boxes.
What kind of necklace is this?
It's my Lucy's cordial necklace from the Chronicles of Narnia. I used to wear it all the time, but then it got put in a box, and you can't see it very well, and you wouldn't be able to see it very well. But
you're happy to have found it.
Yes. I ramble slowly.
It's all right. Do you have any other yummies?
Yeah. On my computer, I got a 221B decal.
Oh, you should have brought it over here so you could show them.
Well, they know what what the numbers 221B look like.
It's gold. It's pretty.
Yes.
And you're waiting for your other decal to come in.
From Perfectly Aligned on Etsy.
Yes, we will link them in the show notes. They've got lots of cool Sherlock decals.
Okay. And then...
Are you okay?
Why don't you tell them what I got while I can try to stop smiling?
She now has a Tumblr called
Damaris is a bit weird.
.tumblr.com. But what's the name of it?
I changed it.
Oh, you did? From what it was?
Yes, I changed it to Brilliant. I might keep changing it while I try to figure out my themes. Because if your title is too long, it overlaps into your description on some of the themes. and it makes it look like part of the title, description, part of the title.
Oh, okay.
Themes are confusing.
So she just got this yesterday, so we'll put a link in the show notes if you want to check out the things that she's blogging on Tumblr. Yes. Anything else yummy this week?
We have shared things, but you have to go first.
Oh, I'll go first. Okay, so we got our tax refund in. So,
Woohoo!
yeah, that is a big woohoo.
And she said it was because of me.
Yes, we got as much as we did because of you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you for being my child.
I'm not somebody else's child.
Yes. So we had planned when we got the tax refund to get another Chromebook. And so Damaris has my old Chromebook, and I got the new Chromebook because I'm cool like that, and I'm the mama. But I got this really cool decal from, I don't know how you say her name, Liwa's Designs on Etsy. So here's the decal. It's love made out of a yarn ball and knitting needles. In pink, of course, because pink is my favorite color. So I am very happy with my new Chromebook.
She's petting it.
I'm going to hug it and love it and call it George. No, George is not a good name for my Chromebook. And
the Chromebook is a female.
And I have a really pretty decal on it. Yay. Alright, what else is yummy?
Okay, we watched more Disney movies.
Yes, we're on a kind of a Disney movie kick. In fact, Daddy is picking up the mail, and there's, I think, 2 more Disney movies in the mail from Netflix.
It's my fault.
She wanted to rewatch some of them and see some that she had not seen. So, this week we watched Peter Pan, 101 Dalmatians, the animated one, not the live action, and Lady and the Tramp.
People on Tumblr nominate Benedict Cumberbatch and Karen Gillan for the next 101 Dalmatians remake.
That'd be kind of cool. And then, here comes your spoiler alert. If you don't want to know what happened in episode 4.6 of Cabin Pressure, now is time to fast forward. Fast forward, fast forward. Okay, now we're going to talk about it. What's it called?
Yverdon Lisbane.
And it's the last of the series.
Not the whole series, hopefully.
Hopefully not. Hopefully just the last of series 4. Martin got a job offer from Swiss Air.
Yes, and he got the first perfect score on their test that they gave him because he memorized the manual.
All 600 some odd pages of it.
Yes.
And
it
so
took him ages.
At the end, he told Arthur that he got a job offer, but then when everybody else asked him, he told them that he was waiting to hear because he's not sure that he wants to leave MJN Air because then what will they do?
MJN means family, and family means no one gets left behind.
That's right. So...
Actually, it's Ohana means family.
Yes, from Lilo and Stitch. So... It was a good episode, but I was, like, shocked at the end.
Yes, apparently, at the end, there was a huge collective audience gasp, and they cut it out.
Yeah. Damaris and I were gasping. We were like...
I sat like this for the last minute of it.
Yeah, me too.
Then I sat like this for some of it.
Yeah.
Then it was like, I'm a duck, a capsized duck.
Where it's calm underneath and movement on the top. That's one of the lines. So.
Other way around. And Arthur ate some dragon fruit. Some dragon fruit.
And yeah, and it made his mouth all numb, and he was talking like...
The dragon fruit. My lips are still numb. Strawberry drill in the flight deck.
That's right. So it was a pretty good episode. We're kind of sad that we now have to wait and find out what happens, since it's the end of Series 4.
Finnemore, post your
blog.
post your blog post for you Verdun lesbians, and please tell us that there's going to be more episodes, and that Z will be titled Zurich.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes, everyone thinks like, well, if there's going to be a Z, it'll be titled Zurich.
So we shall see. I think that's our yummies for this week.
Only Arthur would have an allergic reaction and not know he was having one.
I know, that was really funny. All right, that's our yummies for this week. Let's move on to the next section.
You may have noticed a slight change.
Hi. I found the advanced settings on our camera, and apparently we can mirror things, but you know now when I hold up these books, they're going to be backwards.
People can read backwards. They read backwards all the time.
I wonder if I can change it and then change it back while we're recording. Magic! Okay, so what book are you reading?
The Sign of the Four. I'm doing my book report on it.
By Arthur Conan Doyle?
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
I've finished reading it. I'm waiting for her to finish so that we can start on the short story collection, whichever one's next. What is it? I don't know. That's we're gonna read next. Right now, I am reading two things primarily. This first one is called Inspiration and Incarnation, Evangelicals and the Problem of the Old Testament by Peter Enns.
Ta-da!
I'm actually reading this in a book club, an online book club with Russ and with other people online. So we are reading. I tried to read some today while I was out, but it was too distracting at the place that I was at. The other thing I'm reading is Stephanie Pearl McPhee's Free Range Knitter, The Yarn Harlot Writes Again. And it's really good. I'm back into chapter 6 now. And it's like essays about knitting and life. So that's pretty cool. Now, here we go.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Alright, so I think we're ready to talk about TV now. We're trying something new. We did our show notes.
On the internet.
Yes, on a shared document on, like, our show notes for Damaris and I to talk. On a document online that we can share. So we're going to see how that goes. Okay, like we changed to a really weird shade of pink.
That's what we are, a really weird shade of pink.
There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so first up we have NCIS from a week ago, which we talked about last week that we were going to delay talking about it because there was not a new one on yesterday. And I was behind, and so that's what we did. So this was episode 10.14 called Canary, and they were trying to arrest this computer guy who was a terrorist, and he did not. He had hacked into MTAC and caused the death of an NCIS agent, and so that, of course, made them even all more upset. And so they were trying to get him to reveal who his boss was, and they tricked him into thinking he was taken to Guantanamo Bay when they really had just taken him to a secret location, and they got the information out of him. It was a very techie episode. And Abby used that homemade pomade on her hair because there was an explosion in the lab and her hair was all crazy, and it was kind of funny. That was about it. It was a good episode, but there's just not a lot to talk about on it. The next episode will be next Tuesday, the 19th, episode 10.15, Hereafter. Alright, next up we have Arrow, episode 1.13, Betrayal. And there's kind of 3 storylines that were going on this week. We had
Julian Sark from Alias.
Yes, Julian Sark from Alias, who also plays Dr. Whale on Once Upon a Time / Frankenstein.
Victor
Frankenstein on Once Upon a Time.
People always confuse Frankenstein and the creature.
They do. They really do. So he was a guest in this week's episode, and he was released from prison, and Laurel called Green Arrow to help her catch this guy again, because he really did not need to be out of prison because he's still a really bad guy. And her dad listened in on the call and planned with the police to catch Green Arrow when Laurel and Green Arrow met. And Laurel gets really upset with her dad for using her, and it ends up that Laurel's dad had to go in, ask Green Arrow for help because Laurel was kidnapped by this bad guy, Sark, Dr. Whale, Frankenstein, guest star guy. I don't know what his real name is.
Guest star guy.
And at the end, after he saves Laurel, he tells her goodbye because he said he's not willing to put her at risk any longer. And she also tells her father that she wants nothing to do with him right now because she's upset at him for using her, and that she doesn't trust him right now. Second storyline is Diggle trying to convince Oliver that his mom, Maura, is really bad, and he couldn't accept it. It turns out that Diggle kind of goes undercover a little bit and to spy on her, and he hears Moira talking to Malcolm, who is Tommy's dad, who is Barrowman. And he gets evidence and shares it with Oliver, and that's when he realizes that Moira knew about the yacht being sabotaged. And so the very last scene of the episode was Green Arrow breaking into Moira's office and pointing an arrow at her and saying, "Moira Queen, you have failed this city." And that's how it ended. So I'm excited for tonight's episode to be able to find out where they're going with that. And then the third storyline was more information on the island from when Oliver was crashed after the yacht was what word? Sabotaged. I couldn't find the word I wanted.
Sunken?
Yes, that too. But then Moira got it and put it in a warehouse. And so Oliver
gets a yacht and puts it in a warehouse
for proof that it had been sabotaged. So he finds out a little bit more about some of the island people, and finds out that there's some Australian intelligence agents on the island.
AIA.
Yes. So next episode is actually tonight, episode 1.14, The Odyssey. So I am excited to see that episode and see what's going on with it. Okay, so now we're up to Person of Interest. Oops, I went too far. Episode 2.14, called 1%. And it was about this rich guy whose number came up, and somebody's trying to kill him, and John is going to protect him, to try to save him. And what kind of ends up happening after everything's done is that he has this rich guy, because he got rich doing technology stuff, he figures out what Harold and John are doing, kind of in a broad sense, and wants more information. He actually gives John a watch with a GPS tracker inside it, and Harold finds it and smashes it and tells him that his friend is being just curious enough to be dangerous. So I think we're going to get some more information like that about how they're able to hide this information, but then people are starting to find out because they're being more and more out in the open as they help people. Carter and Fusco weren't really prominent in this episode. Carter is just looking into the 2 missing cops, and Fusco tries to talk to her about some mistakes he's made, and she doesn't want to talk about it. We also got some flashbacks of Harold back in 2001 when 9/11 happened, and Ingram coming in to tell him what happened, and that they wanted to use the machine to stop things like this happening. And then we see another flashback to 2009 where the machine's on its way to the facility, and Ingram's still really obsessed with the machine and wants to help people, and Harold is like, no, we need to move on. And then we see another shot from '09 of Ingram in a car with a printout, and it has a woman's picture on it and her number, her social security number, and he is sitting outside her house and he has a gun. So is he there protecting her? Maybe. So that was kind of some of the background info we got. Next episode is on tomorrow night, Valentine's Day, episode 2.15, Booked Solid. All right, now we're up to Elementary, which I thought the title was quite humorous. Didn't you?
I thought it was weird.
Yes. So it was episode 1.15, A Giant Gun Filled with Drugs. And Joan actually says that in the episode. So what kind of happens in this episode is a friend of Sherlock's, his daughter is kidnapped, but then and so this friend comes to Sherlock asking for help to rescue her, but we find out that he is Sherlock's former drug dealer. And so Watson is very concerned about the temptation and everything. There was some really interesting connections to the books in this one, especially since we're reading the books right now. There was discussion about the tobacco and all the tobacco ash that he studied.
And I think the mongoose.
Yeah, the mongoose is referenced.
And he said the blue carbuncle, and that's one of the that's what one of the short stories is called.
But the biggest one was Reese kept telling Watson that he believed in Sherlock Holmes. I believe in Sherlock Holmes.
And that's a reference to, I'm pretty sure that's a reference to the movement that happened early last year after the final episode of Series 2 of the BBC's Sherlock aired. And everyone was just like, nope! And they put up posters everywhere, all over the world. It was huge. And when PBS aired Series 2 of Sherlock, in the credits of Reichenbach, they put believe in red letters.
Yeah. So, and then not only does this friend of Sherlock say that to Watson, but Watson also says that I believe in Sherlock Holmes.
I was just like, stop it!
So, here is my big question from the episode. At one point in the episode, Sherlock contacts his father and asks him to borrow money for the ransom for this kidnapped daughter of his friends, and we don't hear the conversation, but I am wondering if his father told him that he is no longer paying Watson to live with him and be his companion, sober companion. And if so, how come he has not confronted Watson on it?
Because they're buddies.
Yes, and I think that is going to be talked about in tomorrow night's episode. Is trying to deal with that because
we need to see Clyde again.
We do need to see Clyde again. Because the episode for tomorrow night on Valentine's Day, episode 1.16, is called Details. So, and from the preview, it looks like we're going to see some about Joan's continued relationship with Sherlock, and so I'm really interested to see how that goes, and if he actually knows this information, or if he's going to find out, and how that's going to be handled. So, that should be interesting. Alright, your turn.
My turn. I wrote a very detailed thing about Merlin 5.6, The Dark Tower. I was just like, can I analyze all of this? Every single bit of it? Whoops. I didn't mean to do that.
You went too far.
Yes, I did. Okay, so Gwyn and Elian are visiting their father's grave. Their father died in Series 1.
Mm-hmm.
What, the, very first episode? Or one of the first episodes?
Yeah, one of the early episodes.
And they're visiting their grave. And then when they're riding back to Camelot, Morgana interferes and takes Gwyn, and Leon and Percival are injured.
With magic.
Magic.
Coursing in their veins. The thing that threw me was Gaius helps them, but they get better so quick.
It was like, did Merlin help them off screen?
Or something, because it was like...
Snake bites! People don't... I mean, it was a magic snake bite.
Yeah, and they even said they're very, very ill and we don't know what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden they're fine and riding off.
They leave the next morning at dawn, just like me.
So that kind of threw me. I was like, we have a continuity issue here.
Yes. Okay, so, and then Morgana's taking Gwen to this place called the Dark Tower. Basically, it exists in your mind and has, like, your worst fears.
Yeah.
Basically.
Which we saw lived out to some degree for Gwen.
Yes, like Arthur and Elian laughing maniacally at her, and Merlin coming out from behind the pillar and, like, growling at her.
And scaring her. So,
And basically it causes her to go slightly insane.
Yes.
And meanwhile, obviously, the knights and Arthur and Merlin, etc., are out looking for Gwen, and they reach the tower, and they go, and they find Gwen, and, well, Elian finds her first.
Right.
And there's this sword that Morgana's enchanted to fight to the death that was presumably meant for Arthur.
Yeah.
And Elian fights fights with it, and then he dies.
Yeah, he gets stabbed
By
it, and then he sends it out the window, and then he kind of collapses and dies.
And he dies!
In Gwen's arms.
Yeah. We should have known this was coming from the first scene. It's like, oh, they're visiting their father's grave. They're gonna die!
Gwen didn't die, though.
Yeah, no.
But Gwen has been brainwashed.
Yes, she's become evil. And we're gonna see that in next episode. That she's become evil.
Yeah.
And helping Gwen.
Yeah.
I mean,
helping
Gwen.
Morgana.
Yes, Gwen's helping Gwen.
I
talked a lot faster than I usually did.
So the next episode is episode
5.7, A Lesson in Vengeance.
Yes, which will be on Friday night here in the United States.
Friday.
So, Once Upon a Time is back, and we had episode 2.13, which was called Tiny, and that in it we had Hurley from Lost back again as the giant.
His name?
Garcia is his last name. I can't think what his first name is. So we, of course, like always, have the present-day Storybrooke and the past fantasy world. Fairy Tale Land stuff. So in present-day Storybrooke, Gold and Emma and Henry are going to look for Gold's son. And
Gold's son?
We don't know.
Oh, it's never mentioned?
No, it's been mentioned, but we don't know who it is. I have my speculation of who it is.
Who is your speculation?
I can't remember what his name was. He's been in the town before. He's come to Storybrooke before. And I can't think what his name is.
What fairy tale character are you associating him with?
That one. I don't know. I would have to look it up, because it was in season 1, I mean. So, Prince and Snow and Grumpy and Hook all go to Hook's ship, and there we find the giant, who has been shrunk to human size by Cora. And Giant is very upset with Prince when he wakes up, because he thinks that Prince Charming is evil when it actually was Prince Charming's twin brother, James, who is the evil one. And we see that in past flashbacks that I'll talk about in just a second. We get information more about Belle and Mendel. Mendel is the guy who was in the car accident like a few episodes ago, and when Belle lost her memory of who she is, and Mendel confirms to Belle that he also saw the magic happen when everybody else is trying to avoid it. So let me jump a little bit to the past fantasy world, because apparently what happened was there were numerous giants. The main giant was Jerry from ER. Anybody remember him? He was like the I can't remember what kind of role he played. He was kind of like the desk attendant in the ER. I liked him, Jerry. Anyway, so apparently the magic beans have finished growing, and they're going to harvest them, but Tiny keeps leaving and wanting to see about humans because he's interested in them. And they don't want to give the humans the beans because the other giants think humans are bad. Well, Tiny meets Prince Charming's twin, James, as well as a woman who we find out is Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk, but she's also Tess Mercer from Smallville.
Yes, like, gee.
But she had a different hair color.
Yes.
That's why we didn't recognize her at first. We had to IMDb that. They trick the Tiny into giving them gold, and Jack is killed in the process, and all the other giants other than Tiny are killed in the process. And Tiny is given by the main giant a small container that has a seedling from the bean plant in it that hopefully he can grow one day in a new land. And so after, back in present day Storybrooke, Giant is upset, and he is given by Regina, who I think might be Cora portraying Regina, but they didn't ever address that this episode. The magic Wonderland mushroom or whatever, and it makes him grow tall again, and he's like going to have vengeance on the town, and then all of a sudden they are trying to convince him no, and then Prince Charming's like, I'll give myself to you if you will spare the rest of the town, and then he shrinks back down to human size, but he falls into this hole, and Prince Charming, David is also his name in Storybrooke, rescues him, and he realizes that they are really good people, and they actually all go out and plant the bean plant together, and Tiny's going to be part of Storybrooke now. So that's kind of cool. And there was some discussion between Prince Charming and Snow about whether to go back to Storybrooke, if that can ever happen. But she's afraid that Emma and Henry might not want to go, and she doesn't want to leave them again. So, next episode is on Sunday the 17th, episode 2.14, Manhattan, and that's when they're going to really address the issue with Gold Sun.
Do we have any fairy tales set in Manhattan? Do we have any Disney movies set in Manhattan?
Isn't Enchanted in Manhattan?
Yeah. Well, it's New York, but Manhattan's part of New York.
So I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with that. Bunheads was on Monday night, episode 16. There's nothing worse than a pantsuit. I can honestly say that this was probably one of the lesser episodes that we've seen. I was not really impressed with it all, with the exception of the scene where Jenny and Michelle are preparing for Jenny's audition, and we hear them both sing, and that was a really good part of the episode. The rest of it was kind of for me, so I'm not even going to really talk about it because it wasn't interesting. Next up is episode 1.17, It's Not a Mint, and that will be on Monday. And then finally we have Continuum, episode 1.5, A Test of Time. And Kagame and Liberate are trying to get rid of Kira by killing her grandmother in the present, so that she'll never have her. And so they're killing all these Lily Joneses, because they don't know which one is the grandmother. And Kira eventually finds her grandmother, and that she's actually just finds out that she's pregnant and is a teenager and is not sure whether she wants to keep the baby and everything. And Kira convinces her and gets her back connected with her boyfriend, and they're going to work things out. Kellogg helps. Kellogg, he is one of the Liberate guys, the one that has kind of left them.
Do they all have K names?
No.
Kagame, Kellogg, Kira.
But one of the ladies is named Garza. I don't know why
people have K names.
Yeah, I'm not real sure why we have. I didn't even realize that till you just said it. One interesting thing that happened was, in the midst of all this with them trying to kill Lily's, they take Kellogg's grandmother captive, Liberate, does, and want to trade her for Lily. And they actually trick them because they get Kagame's mother while she's pregnant with Kagame and trade her instead. But in the midst of all this, Kellogg's grandmother gets shot and dies, but Kellogg doesn't disappear. So we have a paradox issue. So I'm interested to see how they deal with that. We also saw a little bit into the future of when Kira finds out that she's pregnant. We also see a point where she thinks that her husband is killed in an explosion that Liberate does. So it was an interesting episode. I'm really interested to see how they deal with the paradox issue. Next episode will be on Monday night, episode 1.6, Time's Up. And that means time's up for this section too. It's trivia time! We had 3 people get this question right last week, so they each got 2 entries. They are A1 Darwin, Angie Ship, and 4 Peanuts. And last week's question was...
Which actor that played one of the Lovegoods in Harry Potter portrayed a fairy tale character in a miniseries about pirates? What fairy tale character did he play? The answer was Rhys Ifans, and he played Captain Hook in Sci-Fi's miniseries
Neverland. Yes. So congratulations to those 3 who got 2 entries each into the giveaway. This week's question is, Joss Whedon's production company is called Mutant Enemy. Who provides the voice of their mascot who says, "Grr, arg"?
At the end of every episode of anything they do.
Pretty much. There's been a few episodes that they've used something different.
Yes. And they've only done something different at the end of episodes of Buffy. Like once, at the end of a Christmas episode, it had jingle bells and the thing was wearing a Santa hat.
Yeah. So, but in most of the time when they use this logo, we want to know who is the voice that says the grr, arg.
Grr, arg.
So if you know the answer, email it to us or send me a message on Ravelry, and we'll get you entered into the draw. I was trying to say drawing or giveaway, but then I combined the two. We'll get you entered into the drawing or the giveaway. So send us your answer if you know it. And that's a wrap for episode 25 of Geeky Girls Knit. Yes?
Yes.
Thanks for watching. Come back next week. We'll have another episode. And coming up, it may not be next week's episode, but maybe the week after. Anyway, in the next few episodes, we will have a huge announcement to make. Huge. So that just kind of teases you a little bit, but it's big.
You can see a doorknob.
Really, really, really big. So we hope to be able to share that with you soon. Find us online on our website, Geeky Girls Knit, GeekyGirlsKnit.blogspot.com. And there you will find links to everywhere else we're online, Twitter, Facebook, Ravelry, iTunes, YouTube, Blip TV,
etc. That's all.
All those places.
Email. That's all. That's all.
Our personal Ravelry and Twitters.
No more.
So find us online and connect with us. And thanks for watching. And we'll see you next week. And we can't wait to share our big news with you very, very soon. But for now, happy knitting.